Miss Ashley, we are
What?
y'all blowing us away, okay?
We cannot believe it. We came in and we saw extra chairs, a few extra rows. We're like, okay,
where they at? Where they at?
This is
Okay.
going to be interesting. But yes, thank you all for joining us. We're so thrilled to have you here.
We're so thrilled to have you. So welcome officially to Beyond the Usual Imposter Syndrome breakout session, leaving the inner self-critic behind. So excited today because this is not only a breakout session, this also doubles as a live recording of our podcast, the Elevated Life Podcast, where our listeners experience real conversation, infectious laughter, and transformative growth as we explore how we can elevate every aspect of our lives. And so I am not only your guest today, I'm also your co-host, Yvette Creighton.
And I am your guest and co-host, Ashley Stowall. So thank you again. We are so thrilled and excited to get into this imposter syndrome. It's going to be great.
Yes, and before we dive in, listen, we got to set some ground rules. So some of y'all who know me, you know I can be a little extra, a little exciting, and Ashley and I like to have fun. So we're setting some ground rules. The first thing I want to say is there are some empty chairs. So let me say, I know the ones of y'all who sat in the front of the classroom, okay? There's some empty chairs in the front. You should all have one of these cards. You will want one of these cards. So make sure if you don't have one, if you were in some of those back chairs, make your way to the front or get a card, phone a friend if you need to, but you want one of these cards. So we're gonna jump in here. And so before we dive in, Ashley and I also grew up in church, okay? And so we're used to a call and response culture, all right? We're used to liveliness. So we're going to do that in this room today. We're going to have some fun. We're going to learn a lot, but we're going to do that in this room today. If there's something that resonates with you, I want you to say facts, okay? You can snap with it. You can wave this card if you want to, but that's what we're doing today. So Ashley, let's try it out. Make sure the people know what they're doing.
Okay, so this is very easy. Low-hanging fruit. We are all excited to be at the Women Lead Change Conference today. Facts. Okay, I think y'all got it. The coffee kicking in. It's kicking in.
All right, they ready. So
very good.
I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome.
Let's set the stage. Let's get on the same page about how we're defining imposter syndrome in this space today. Authors Lisa and Richard O'Bray Austin define imposter syndrome as the experience of constantly feeling like a fraud, downplaying one's accomplishments, and always being concerned about being exposed as incompetent or incapable. As a result, people with imposter syndrome engage in overworking and self-sabotage.
Facts.
The thing about imposter syndrome is that it can be really subtle in every aspect of your life. So we're not just talking about work. We're not just talking about with your family. We're talking about your intimate relationships and any, interaction that you have. Imposter syndrome can creep into it. If you're not careful, you might engage in behaviors to overcome imposter syndrome and not even realize that imposter syndrome is actually at the root. Facts. So we're really going to get into today some of the continual life experiences. It didn't just start when you got the new job. It didn't just start when you became a mom or had to start being a caretaker for your parents. These things have been with us along the way. So let's start, kind of sharing some of our personal perspectives. Yvette, how has it shown up for you? What has been your experience?
Absolutely. So you heard as she was reading my bio, I was recognized. First of all, let me back up. I just joined the 40s club, y'all.
Facts.
So, hey, facts. Woo, woo. So if you see me in the hallway and you want to tell me I don't look like I'm 40, I'm taking those compliments today. But I recently joined the 40s club, and a couple years ago, I was recognized as 40 under 40. And a few months later, I also was recognized as one of the most influential leaders in the corridor. And what really floored me is, y'all, I was on the same list as Caitlin Clark. And what I realized, Ashley, honestly, just a few months ago, as we were preparing for this, I had realized that for almost 2 years, I had been holding on to imposter syndrome about this recognition. A colleague of mine nominated me. He thought that the contributions that I had done was worth the nomination, and he just took it upon himself to do that. But even after getting the recognition, I have been downplaying that award and saying things like, oh, it's only because my company nominated me, or, oh, it's, when people really find out who I am and that, I don't really belong in this cohort, I'm going to be found out. And so as we were preparing for this, I was like, oh my goodness, I have been just diminishing this recognition because of imposter syndrome. So what about you, Ashley? How has it shown up and played out in your life?
I mean, you know, when you think about it, when we, you know, take the concept of continual life experiences, and we really got closer to really what the true definition of imposter syndrome is. Because when you hear imposter syndrome, you think, oh, I'm not trying to be anybody else.
Okay.
This is who I am. This is who y'all getting today, and it's going great. But imposter syndrome really is deeper than that. So when I started to think about it, I could take it back even to grade school, where I'm, you know, winning the spelling bee, and everyone's saying, hey, great job. And I'm thinking, oh, I studied. That's why I won. No, you know, yeah, there's a degree of studying, but if you get to that lightning round at the end, you know, you got to listen to the words, you got to put some intellect to it.
Got to know something.
There's some preparation that you can't, you know, do beforehand. So really just discounting the things that you do, the contributions that innately are talents and things that you have that are part of who you are, discounting those is really when, you know, you can see imposter syndrome set in. We're going to go into now a few of the experiences that we all may be familiar with. And, you know, just as I share a few details about how imposter syndrome can start and, you know, begin in your continual life experiences, think about how this may apply to you and your family, and just, you know, do some reflection here, if you will. Again, we're referring to some resources today. Own Your Greatness is one of the books that we came across when we were looking at imposter syndrome. And again, we're going to share all of these resources and the conference materials. But with that, the authors Lisa and Richard O'Bray Austin share that your experiences of imposter syndrome don't just fall out of the sky. It comes from somewhere that likely has been under the surface for a very long time. So from your childhood, there are some experiences that we can relate, and we're looking at 3 different dynamics. Now, Yvette and I we get into this constant conversation about who we're showing up as today, but let me tell you what they are. So are you known in your family as the smart one, the intelligent one? The one that people will say, you know, it comes easy to you. Oh, you know, you get it academically. You know, all the things that, you know, you go for in your academic and, you know, school career and academically, those things come well for you. The hardworking one, the one that puts in the effort. You know, you're going to turn the lights on. You're going to be the first there and the last one out the door. You're going to make sure that you do all the work that is required to get your goal accomplished.
Facts.
And then the survivor that said, okay, I have to, you know, get over all of these things. I got to drop the kids off. I got to make dinner from scratch. I got to put up a balloon arch, you know, do all of this by 6 o'clock, you know, and you say, okay, look, I did all that and my project went well. Okay, I got it done. You know, so a lot of times we use those things and we look at overworking and being overstimulated. Sometimes it's a badge of honor. Like we have so many, we've accomplished and checked off all these things, but really, truly, how do we feel on the inside of that? So for the room, you know, you have some cards, those of you that have those on your seats. So if you can get familiar with the cards that you have there.
You need these.
And if we think about those perspectives again, let's think about our own selves. So all right, now we're going to participate just a little bit. Now, if you are known as the intelligent one in your family, they would say, oh, it comes so easy for you. This is so easy. Wave your card and say facts if you're the intelligent one in your family.
Facts.
There we go. There we go. And then if you believe you are the hardworking one, listen, ain't nobody gonna outwork you. Okay?
Come on.
Facts. Wave it to me and say facts.
Y'all can't be shy though. You gotta be like facts.
And the survivor, look, hell or high water, it's gonna get done.
Okay.
Okay. You
yes.
gonna get it done.
I see my sister back there.
You're gonna get it done.
That's right.
Very good. So, you know, when we think about that, where do we see ourselves? What do you think about this, Yvette?
Well, I really struggle with this. Understanding that imposter syndrome actually can be rooted in childhood was a hard concept for me to accept. But what I learned was, as I was reflecting on this, I was like, I can't really be considered the intelligent one because I actually don't feel like I'm that smart. And that is actually how people who are perceived as the intelligent one in their childhood,
exactly.
That's what they struggle with when it comes to imposter syndrome, accepting how people perceive you. Exactly. And so you're like, I was seen as the intelligent one, but I don't really feel like I was that smart, that you might really, that might fall into your category. And so what I actually learned as I reflected on this was, school came very easy for me. It wasn't real hard for me to get A's and B's. I could have worked a little harder, but it wasn't that hard for me to get A's and B's. And I actually wanted to pursue becoming a lawyer or a doctor. I would have had a totally different life, y'all. I wanted to pursue that, but I didn't because I didn't feel like I was smart enough to be successful in those fields. And so that's kind of daunting when you think about how imposter syndrome can actually impact where you go if you allow it. What about you? What would you characterize yourself as?
Absolutely, depending on the day, because some days I am the intelligent one, some days I'm the hard worker. My family would say I'm the intelligent one. Even as we were preparing for this conference, my aunt calls me and she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited for you ladies. You're gonna go in there, you're gonna do such a great job. You're so smart." And then meanwhile, me and Yvette are like on a call trying to figure out how to post something on Facebook. We're like, are we really that smart? So, and those are the things that you question, and those are things that you ask yourself that really have no place, because yes, you're intelligent, yes, you're fully equipped for everything that you have to do. I would say over the course of my life, I've been a strategic thinker, one that thinks about things thoroughly. I'm going to weigh out all the options, and that has played well for me in having positive choices and having the things go in my life go pretty well. But at the same time, often I'm paralyzed by a lack of trust in some of those decisions that I have to make. That you've done the research, you've weighed out the pros and the cons, and you've come to a decision, but you don't trust yourself. You let that doubt creep in. And again, that's that imposter syndrome, making you doubt what you already know. So in those moments, I have to just laugh at myself and say, okay, stop taking it so serious. Nobody else cares about all the 50 million things that you're thinking about, the catastrophic thinking.
Right.
What if it rains, and what if it this, and what if it that? Quiet the what ifs and really moving on beyond that.
Okay. And so as we talked about how imposter syndrome can impact us, we're gonna unpack that a little bit, but first we want to do an exercise. So the cards that you have, I told y'all was gonna need these cards. So the cards that you have, some are like this bright pink, right? Some of you have this really bright pink color. Some have more of this mauve pink. And somebody said, Yvette, it's the same pink. It really is different, I promise.
Yes.
But one is like really bright pink like this. The other one is kind of more of a mauve pink. So if you have this sort of brighter pink colored card, and then also if you look at our circle around our picture, this is another indicator, it is more pink than the other one. The other one is more brown. So if you have that pink circle, you got the pink card, all right? So I'm gonna ask those who have this pink circle and this pinker card to stand up. I promise I'm not gonna make you sing or anything like that. So, all right. And so I want you all to just look around the room. Look around the room. Those of you who are sitting, look around the room. Those of you who are standing, look around the room. This is an approximation, okay? So stats was not my strongest in school, but 70% of people have experienced imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. This is approximately 70% of this room. So look around the room. That's how many people have been impacted by imposter syndrome. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you. And so this means that imposter syndrome has impacted most of us. And for women, it is increased by 18% more often than men, I should say. Women experience imposter syndrome 18% more often than men. And if you are a person of color, imposter syndrome is even more prevalent because of so many other dynamics. And so this is a key takeaway for you today. Imposter syndrome has knocked on most people's doors at some point in their lives. Imposter syndrome has knocked on most people's doors at some point in their lives. In fact, Ashley and I, we used to feed off of each other's imposter syndrome. We wasn't helping each other. We were it was something serious. And so let's unpack this, Ashley. How has imposter syndrome then directly impacted you, or how would you characterize that?
So, if we talk about how it has impacted us, and we began our relationship as colleagues, became friends, and now this is my sister, y'all. So I'm thrilled to be doing this with her today.
Facts.
But how it has impacted it, like perfectionism.
Ooh.
Ain't nothing but a whole bunch of lies, because perfection is what? Impossible. It's not going to happen. So I even applied that perfectionism to my personal life, where when I got married, my house, you was not going to come to my house and it was not going to be clean.
Okay.
You was not going to look at my closet and I had some out of order. Like, there were standards that if they were not met, somebody was going to have a problem, and it was not going to be me. So with that, it was exhausting because I would work all day. I would do all the other things that I have to do, all the many hats that we know we wear. And I would come home and I was stressed out about all the things that I needed to keep together in the home environment as well. And that robbed me of so much peace. I wasn't able to really be present in moments because I'm worried about other things that I need to be doing or need to be taken care of, to trying to create and live up to an image I created in my mind. You know, and with doing that, I was able to really just like stop the madness. Like there are other ways to spend your time other than tasking yourself to death, but really being present with your family and the people that you love in those moments and really being able to, you know, enjoy that time with them. So with that, you know, thinking about things as realistic and really acknowledging that you're doing the best that you can each and every single day. And this is the best version for today. Now, the version today may not look like the version tomorrow, but this is what it is today and this is the best. And being okay with that. I think is one of the key things that I've taken away from those impacts of perfectionism. And when we were working together, I mean, it was really bad. We would feed off of each other with everything. Like, you know, I would think about one detail about the weather, and Yvette would be like, well, if the weather happens, then we can do this.
Listen,
we have a rain
plan.
I mean, think about everything.
That's
really
how
can
perfect
drive
we were trying to be when it came to the work that we were producing. Like, we were low-key meteorologists. I don't have a degree in meteorology.
Exactly. What about you?
So I would say, first of all, imposter syndrome is a little sneaky somebody for me. Like, I used to think that imposter syndrome was only about feeling like a fraud, only about this feeling of, oh my gosh, what if they find out who I really am? That I just didn't measure up. I thought that really was all that it was. But as I prepared for this and as I really started to understand imposter syndrome, what I recognized was that some of the behaviors that I was engaging in was actually to overcompensate for those feelings of inadequacy.
Facts.
And so I used to think, you know, I'm just a perfectionist, right? That's just who I am. Well, actually, I'm trying to overcompensate for those feelings, right? And do everything just right. Or I felt as though, hey, it's required for me to work a 12-hour day. Like, that's just part of the job. If I'm not working those many hours, they're going to find something out about me and they're not going to think I'm valuable. Or self-care. I'm a mom. I ain't got time to take care of myself. This is part of being a mom, right? So those were the things that the lies that I would tell myself. And what I found out and discovered through this process is that oftentimes with imposter syndrome, we engage in behaviors to try to overcompensate or overcome those feelings of inadequacy. And if we're not careful, imposter syndrome will masquerade as something else.
Facts.
Imposter syndrome will masquerade as something else. And so here are some behaviors that I want you to be aware of that you might do in an attempt to overcome imposter syndrome. You heard Ashley talk about perfectionism. That is one of them. Right? Being a perfectionist and being obsessed about everything being perfect oftentimes is rooted in imposter syndrome. Another is avoidance. Some of us will procrastinate till the last minute because we don't think we're worthy or deserving or capable or good enough to deliver on something. The other is overworking. So I mentioned like working 12 hours. Like, ain't nobody telling me to do that?
Nobody.
Why?
They didn't ask you.
Right? So overworking, they did not ask me. Catastrophic thinking. The sky is absolutely falling. It is the end of the world. If I fail at this, no one will like me. Whatever. Catastrophic thinking. My kids are going to hate me if I correct them, or whatever the thing is. Over preparing. So Ashley and I talked a little bit about that. Like, we joke about this, but we had plans A, B, C, and D. Okay, we were anticipating what someone would need. We were trying to over-prepare if something went wrong. Listen, we probably knew the train schedule. If the train come through, what we gonna, like, it's just unnecessary, right? And then fear of failure is the other thing. And there's many more. So keep that in mind. Sometimes imposter syndrome will show up as something else and you don't even realize it's you trying to overcompensate for that thing.
Absolutely.
So as we continue this, Ashley, the good news is we can overcome imposter syndrome. So we're going to leave you with some techniques on how to overcome it. Ashley, would you share some stories of what you've done to overcome imposter syndrome?
Absolutely. So I told y'all, I wanted my house to be perfect. I wanted my kids to be perfect. Everything had to be in order and just, you know, the right way every day. With that, there is no right way. It's the way you're doing it right now.
Come on.
So that
Facts.
can change. Give yourself the opportunity to evolve, to change, and to be a different version of yourself. So definitely time management and mindfulness. So when you have those thoughts that are creeping in for me of like, oh, this is not right, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that. I'm like, but I have done.
Come on.
The 50 other things that I did before I even started to thinking about those other things. So list, prioritization, Chat GPT, Pinterest, all of those things. Any type of list you want to come up with, they have a template that you can figure out and organize yourself and really, get those thoughts out of your mind of overwhelm and evaluating what's going on. So a lot of times when you're in those cycles of overthinking or perfectionism or really just questioning if you are equipped, what are you anxious about? What are you trying to really navigate? What are you truly trying to understand? And why are you overthinking it? And go directly to that and work through it. So making an effort also to internalize positive feedback is another technique that's very important. I still am challenged with this, but it is so very helpful. How often do we get a compliment and are told we did something well and we say thank you and we immediately go into the story of how we got there?
Come on.
We want to let someone know how hard we work. We want to let somebody know how smart we are, and we want to let somebody what we went through to get there.
And the mountain we climbed and all the other stuff.
Climbed, and we on the top of Everest, baby, with the flag. Okay, so we don't necessarily have to do that always. Sometimes we can receive the compliment and say thank you.
Yes.
And just sit there in that thank you and say, thank you, I appreciate it. I really, appreciate your support. So with that, you have an opportunity to really hear and internalize what you're being complimented for. A lot of times it's your talent, your innate ability only to do what you can do.
Yes.
Your contributions are specific and personal to you, and they matter, and they're very important. What about you, Yvette? What have you done
So listen, this is a work in progress, but here are some things that I have done. I can't name them all because we don't have time, trust me. But I do have two that I would recommend as my top two. One is to reframe. So I am a catastrophic thinker. I'll give you an example. Oftentimes when my leader is out, I will be asked to be the delegate of authority while that individual is out. If there is a typo, it can be as simple as a misplaced punctuation. I know for a fact that they're going to come back and fire me. That is how catastrophic thinking works.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. And so I have to reframe and ask myself, like, is that really realistic? There are other things that obviously you do well besides misplacing a period. So like, think about those things. Now, listen, if I lose my job over a period or something, I'll come back and tell y'all about it. But reframe is one that I do. The other is self-care. Say 30%. Everybody say 30%. Engaging in regular self-care practices can actually reduce imposter syndrome by 30%. 30%. And so Ashley and I have this conversation all the time. Matter of fact, Ashley is my accountability partner. I remember one time I was telling her real quickly, and this is not in our notes, but I was telling her this one time about how tired I was. And I was like, listen, this is gonna be a 3-day energy drink day. And she was like, you need to get some rest. Like, she just straight told me, take care of yourself. And so those are the things that you have to think of. We talk about this all the time. You need to understand what are your non-negotiables when it comes to your self-care, because it can help you navigate things like imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
I like getting my nails done and my toes done. And trust me, I like to go when I have the time and I can truly be relaxed and I'm not rushed. That's a non-negotiable for me. So those are some things that I have done as well. And so Ashley's going to continue this and take us through some techniques. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So on those handy dandy cards that we have there, the cards that you have on your seats there, and those that don't have one, we definitely can get a picture for you or get the image. But there are some techniques there from the book, Your Unstoppable Greatness. And I'll define the different categories that you'll see there. And you're able to identify on that if you're skilled in that area or developing in those various areas. So identifying your triggers. So knowing, new experiences, new events, new roles, those are things that can trigger your imposter syndrome to make you start to feel like, okay, well, did they pick the right one? I've been leading all the IT projects and now they want me to lead an HR project. Y'all going the right one? They did. They know the skills, the abilities, all the things that you're doing and all your other work, they need you to be a part of that team. Pausing and choosing optimal behavior. So setting boundaries. it's okay to say not right now. It might not be a no, but it might be not right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Managing performance anxiety. So when you're having to present to this new team or work on that new project, or even, becoming a new role in your family, maybe having to take care of a parent or becoming a wife, mom, whatever it is, understanding what the expectations are for yourself and for those around you, and level set those so they understand what to expect from you. Addressing the overworking.
Ooh.
Nobody told you to
Yep.
come in there at 6 o'clock in the morning and turn the lights on. And nobody told you to stay till after dinner to turn the lights off when you're done with the work at the end of the day. So address that. Make sure that
Address
you're
it.
having balance.
Yes.
Monitoring
Facts.
self-sabotage. Not setting yourself up for failure.
Yes,
if you know you have to
facts.
prepare for something, go ahead and do it. Don't wait until the
Yes.
last minute when you have stress and it's all piling in on you. Again, internalizing that positive feedback, understanding, taking a breath, realizing that this is a compliment, this is something that I'm being recognized for, and it really does matter. Handling the constructive or sometimes negative feedback. Now, the thing about feedback is not always true.
Come on, facts.
And if you're already questioning if you have imposter syndrome, you're already successful. If you're questioning if you made it, you got it, you're successful, and do you have imposter syndrome, you're already there. So just don't even ask yourself that question anymore. So with that, consider if the feedback is something that you want to change about yourself, or this is who you are, this is who I am, I'm okay with that. It may not work for you, but I'm okay with that. So consider where feedback comes from. Consider if it's something that you want to take and go
Yes.
forward, or really truly if it's something that's okay. I know I'm not the best at, running the data, but that's okay. I'll get some help next time.
So we heard Rachel kind of talk about this morning, a little bit this morning. Like she
Yes.
got some feedback that she internalized about who she is. And she did not have to
Exactly.
own that feedback.
Absolutely.
So, anyway.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then this is by far, I would say, one of my favorites. Establish your team, elevate. So establish your dream team, your group of people that you probably can look in your phone right now and identify and say, these are the people that are going to be by my side. Now, it's important the roles that they play. So I'm going to go a little bit into that as well. So with your team elevate, you're going to need a mentor, somebody that has gone where you're trying to go. If you are in the entrepreneur space and you're trying to learn more about how to navigate that, someone that has experience with that can be helpful. They can, connect you with relationships, answer questions for you, whatever the case may be. But then that cheerleader is another important person to have as a part of your dream team. They see, the cheerleader, they know your heart. They
Yes.
know that you
Facts.
are capable, that you can do it. They believe in you regardless. The grounder, the person that's going to keep it real.
Bring you
Now,
back
let me
down
say,
to earth.
now look, we know that you like to bake cookies with the mix that come out of the store, but should you open the storefront with those cookies? Probably not. So you want somebody that's going to keep it real with you and say, okay, I believe in you, but maybe we consider another goal. Also,
Keep it real with me, Ashley.
exactly,
Yes.
the action planner, the
Yeah.
person that is going to take you through the steps and help you think it through, ask you those questions that are going to challenge your mindset, challenge the goal that you say that you've identified. We want to open this storefront to sell these cookies, but do we have a budget? Do we have a storefront picked out? Who are your customers? Who wants storefront, cookies that you got from the store that you just baked? Like, you got to figure that stuff out. The big picture person, the person that's already celebrating with you, they believe in you so much that they already know the goal that you've shared with them, you're going to accomplish it. So they're already like, well, listen, I'm celebrating. Once you get the storefront open, when you open the second one, we're going to dinner. Okay? So you need that person to be a part of your team as well. And there's always room for a therapist, career coach, financial planners, keep the money that you got, all of those kinds of things, keep the budget on par.
That's
all
right.
of those things are important as well. So looking at the cards that you have there, you'll be able to rate your proficiency, whether or not you're proficient in those, or you're skilled in developing the things that are listed there, and consider the difficulties you've encountered with those techniques. And then you'll be able to make some notes as well about how you want to transition and maybe do things a little bit differently as you look at examining how you're processing and dealing with imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so take a look and really think about who that team elevate might be for you. Many of my team elevates in this room.
Absolutely.
And so thank y'all. Appreciate
Yes,
y'all to be that all the roles that you play and how you've helped me. So that is a great way to navigate imposter syndrome, those techniques as well. I cannot believe I'm looking at the time.
I know.
We are coming to the end of our time with y'all. you guys have dealt with us today.
Yes, participated as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks so much. So we want to, before we close, we want to kind of leave with some closing remarks, some takeaways that actually, what do you want to leave the people today? And then we will open it up for Q&A as well. So Ashley, I will have you start.
Yeah, so I would say grace. You know, give yourself the same grace that you give everybody else. There are so many things that you'll say in your mind and to yourself that you wouldn't dare say to your best friend, you wouldn't say to your colleague, you wouldn't say to your kids.
Yes.
You know, so think about that and don't say those things to yourself, but really think about it differently and really, you know, give yourself an opportunity each day to do it again. Yesterday was yesterday. We have a new opportunity today. Each day, I have the belief that, you know, you are granted grace anew, graciously. So walk forward with that grace. And acceptance of the journey. Like, we never arrive at the place of perfection. We never arrive at the place that, you know, we are who we are and that's just it. We're always growing. As long as you're growing, learning new things, developing new skill sets, expanding your talents, there is the possibility for imposter syndrome to creep back in and say, you can't do that. And we know that that's not true.
Right.
You have everything that you need at this moment to do everything that you've already done and everything you still have yet to do. You're fully equipped. So remember that as well. What about you?
I almost said amen like we were in church. All right, facts. So I would say there's so many takeaways. But first thing that I would say is you are not an imposter.
Facts.
So I'm going to say that again. You are not an imposter.
Facts.
You are where you are because you deserve to be there. You have the credentials to be there and you're fully capable to be there. Take up space, own that space, and recognize that you are not an imposter. And you have exactly what you need, like Ashley said, to overcome these feelings of imposter syndrome, these feelings of inadequacy. And then I'd also let you know that you are not alone in that struggle. We talked about that 70%, right, of people have experienced it at some point in their lives. And so I will leave you with this. Quiet your inner critic. Use those techniques that we gave you today to quiet your inner critic and go ahead and tell imposter syndrome to take a seat, set it down. What you say, Ashley?
No questions.
No questions. We're not taking questions today, imposter syndrome.
No
All right?
questions.
So put imposter syndrome in its place.
Yes.
So now we'll open it up for Q&A.
Yes. Thank you all. Yes. Do you have a mic, or you can stand, or whatever you're comfortable with?
Hi everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm a senior student at Southern Illinois University of Carbondale, which is very, very similar. So for a lot of perfectionists, that motivation is switching from self-criticism, and for the people that we like really hard, perfectionists who don't do things productively in their mind, they don't feel like they always have motivation. What are some motivating strategies that
Absolutely. Well, I'll start because perfectionism, I mean, we go together real bad. So I got to work on that thing just about every week. But with that, I would, refer back to some of the things that I already mentioned, like making those lists. So if I know that I like my home to look a certain way, I have a schedule and a routine that I follow that helps me achieve that goal. So I look at what am I trying to achieve from that perfectionism? So that's the example of, at home, if there is a goal of, making sure that all of my emails are perfect and grammatically correct and things of that nature, making sure I triple check, or I write it, put it down for a minute and come back to it and read it again if that's a goal. So whatever it is that you're trying to perfect or make the best version, develop a strategy, develop a list, or develop a method in which you can go about it differently, as opposed to continuing to think about doing it, and really make it more strategic is what I would advise.
Yeah, and I'll add a couple things. I'm going to say something that's going to make all perfectionists squirm a little bit, including myself. But one of the things they talk about in the book is perfectionism and perfectionists finding this place where good enough is good enough.
Facts.
And that actually gave me chills because I'm a perfectionist. And so good enough, what you talking about? It needs to be perfect. That's what your kind of your thought is. But what I want to encourage you to do from kind of that motivation point of view is two things. One, recognizing, giving yourself, celebrating yourself when you take those incremental steps towards good enough so that you become more comfortable with letting go of perfectionism and accepting when things are good, right? So that's one thing. So that takes some time. That takes some baby steps. So celebrating those small wins. I lied. I'm going to say 3 things. The second thing I would say is becoming very, very self-aware. Ask yourself, why am I obsessing about perfection on this? Like, really sit in that. And I know for me, sometimes it's those thoughts of like, well, what will people think? They're going to think I'm not smart, or they're going to think I'm silly, or they're going to think, and those are imposter syndrome, negative self-talk thoughts, period. So if you are doing that, really ask yourself, why am I obsessing about this being perfect? And the last is, I would say, get you a friend like my girl, Ashley. We hold each other accountable because, you know, even through this process, I'm like, girl, this is you done. We're done. We're not going to keep, right? And she does the same with me because what's bubbling up is that desire to be perfect. No one's perfect. No one. And that's the beauty of us, is that we're not perfect, right? So anyway, now I'm getting preachy. But
but all excellent points, especially when it comes to perfection, because it's so hard. You know, you have a vision, you have a picture in your mind of what you want it to be, what you want the end result to be, and you know, you're doing your best to get there. But sometimes we have to change, you know, have to alter the course a little bit, and it's still okay.
So celebrating those small wins can create the motivation you need to keep. Like, nothing bad happened. Oh my gosh. And I wasn't, you know, perfect.
One of the key things that I would say that a career coach told me a while ago that really helped me overcome that type of thinking was, you know, is anybody bleeding? If I don't do this, is anybody dying? And what's really going to happen? So that can kind of help you take a few steps back from the end goal. It's like, it's probably going to be okay if I don't wash the dishes tonight.
Right.
It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Other questions? Others? We have a little bit of time still, 3 minutes. I know we standing in the way of lunch.
Yes. Go ahead. Go. Oh, yeah.
Come on, stand up.
Yeah. We got one here and one back there.
Okay.
I think small question, like my work ethic and knowing that what I say I'm going to do and then completing that task like means a lot to me. But I noticed just like with society and living in Iowa, there's a lot of outside pressure that as a woman, as a Black woman, I feel like, you know, the level I do performing, how do you guys, as a woman of color, like balance that outside noise versus and how that fits?
That's really good.
Well, I would say personally, I do a lot of work on myself. So we are talking today, you know, about methods and strategies that we're sharing with you, but all the things that we're sharing, we've done ourselves personally. So I make a conscious effort weekly, very much so daily, to really spend some time with myself and really allow myself to be on the journey of where I am. And some days are great, and some days I'm at a lower place where I'm feeling like, I'm not feeling it today, I'm getting nothing right. And then I shake it off, talk to an accountability partner like Yvette. Sometimes I talk to you as well, Simone, and really just, you know, reframe and start over and say, okay, now, that project didn't go that well. The kids went to school with no socks on. They are still alive, but they went to school with no socks on. But that's okay. I'm going to make one of the best dinners I ever made, and everybody's going to forget about it. So, you know, things like that. But really just spending some time with yourself and being kind to yourself. We are not kind to ourselves enough. So really, truly forgive yourself. You know, just that apology you extend to others, extend that apology to yourself. Girl, we did not get up and work out this morning, but it's okay. You know, we're going to make good choices with our food all day long. We'll get back on track tomorrow.
Right,
maybe.
And I might eat candy for lunch, and that's okay.
Exactly, and that is okay. But I would say definitely just spending time with yourself, having people around you that can help reinforce, you know, that dream team that we talked about, having people that'll keep you grounded and say, hey, you're going to show up, you're going to figure it out, you're going to do it, you can do it. So having those people that believe in you around you, that cheerleader says, yes, I am so happy for you. And the person that's going to say, I see you running that department in a year. You know, so keeping that dream team very much so a part of you. We can all go on our phones right now and identify those people. Exactly. So just keeping those people around you is definitely helpful when it comes to that. For me, I would say.
I would just add too, like, it is a real thing, like being a woman of color. I think it's just that added layer, like all the things that Ashley talked about, like the people that you're surrounded by is so important. As I've gotten older, I have, like, it's just some stuff I ain't gonna do. Like, I don't know what it is with aging, but you're just like, you know what, I'm not accepting that and I'm just not gonna deal with that, right? But there are some things that I still struggle with around, walking into a room and being one of very few that look like me.
One of the only.
And one of the only. And oftentimes those feelings of imposter syndrome really become exaggerated, right? And so what I have done is try to find the right balance of surrounding myself, like Ashley said, with the right people. Making sure that I am confident in who I am and working on that all the time, because that confidence goes up, down, sometimes is non-existent. It's never where it probably should be, and so that's something that I'm always kind of navigating. I'm very fortunate. I have an amazing mother who has, and my parents at a very young age, I grew up here in Iowa. So I'm very used to being one of very few people that look like me in the room. That's the reality of our state, y'all. So I'm just keeping it real. And because that's what we do on a podcast. Anyway, but like being one of very few in the room, my dad knew that would be likely my circumstance. And so they started really instilling some things in me to help me navigate that at times that I knew that they knew later in my life that I would need. And so continue those practices, self-affirmations.
Oh, yes, very good.
We've talked about power poses. Y'all have heard about that stuff. Like the things that I do before I speak, people, all they see, we talk about this on the podcast.
Yes.
All people see is the end result.
Absolutely.
You don't see the process that got us to even these seats, right? And the things that we do. And so you have to do those things in secret, surrounding yourself, Simone, with the right set of people to really pour into you so you can recognize and pinpoint when imposter syndrome is creeping up, and you can also recognize and pinpoint where someone is projecting things that you don't need to own. Come on, hey.
Exactly.
So, all right.
Absolutely. We have one question in the back.
I was just going to say, how do you give yourself permission to do that self-care? If I go home or I want to watch one of my TV shows, there's always that thought of.
Usually I don't have permission, I just do it. So the people that I live with, they don't believe in giving permission. They're like, well, what are we having for dinner? I don't know. What do you want? So like I say I don't get permission. I schedule time for myself on my calendar. Even if I have to take a personal day from work, sometimes I will do it, or I will make sure that I make arrangements for my responsibilities so that I can dedicate that time that I am supposed to be doing other things, but use that time for me. So, reimagining your schedule is really a lot of times what it looks like, because we don't have a lot of time. Time is limited, but I would say I don't necessarily ask for permission. I notify. I'm having a self-care today. I'm not making dinner today, and I'm not picking anybody up from anybody's practice today. So you may go, you may not. Good luck. I love you, but good luck, because if I get you today, I'm gonna be yelling at you the whole time.
Okay.
So choose what you want.
Yeah.
So I would say, I don't get permission. I just do it.
And so for me, I'm learning to do that. Here's one of the things that works for me. I'm one of those people that I need to touch the stove to realize it's hot. Y'all remember them little things, the cigarette things that used to be in the car? I was one of those kids. My mom said, don't mess with that. Don't touch that.
But let me see.
I know that burns you, actually, because I was the kid who had to experience it. So for me, one of the things with imposter syndrome, how it showed up in my life, was overworking. And I spent, was new to a company at the time, and I felt like I had to work all the time. I'd get there at 6 a.m. and then I'd leave 5 minutes before I had to pick my kids up. I'm rushing to get them, and I'd go home. I'd figure out what everybody needed to have and send the children to bed, and then I'd get up and continue to work until 12 a.m. I did that until one particular night. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was sure I was having a heart attack. And I know I scared the life out of my husband. Woke up, was having a full-blown panic attack. And that's when I realized self-care is a non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
It has to happen.
Facts.
And so what I have done now is sometimes I can get really raggedy and I can go weeks without taking care of myself, but I start to recognize those symptoms. I'm groggly, I'm mean, I'm short-tempered, I'm eating horribly, and so I don't feel good, I'm not exercising.
No energy.
And I'm making mental notes. When's the last time? Okay, I'm a morning person. If I'm struggling to get out of the bed, I'm exhausted. That means I'm not taking care of myself. So to Ashley's point, you just have to do it. Like, take the time, free up your schedule, and then also, what are those indicators that, like, this is just not a good look? Like, having a panic attack, like, that's not anything to be proud of.
Exactly.
Like, come on. So take care of yourself. It truly does make a difference. It truly does make a difference. So we are well over our time.
We are.
Thank you
Yes,
all so much
thank
for
you.
joining us.